from the Richmond Fellowship. We're part of the IPS service, so that's the Individual Placement and Support Service. So I'm going to run through the slides that I had for you, and then Jen's just going to pick up towards the end of that and sort of bring that to life a little bit and what that actually looks like. So as I mentioned, IPS service is Individual Placement and Support, and it's an employment service. We are currently contracted into the NHS across Swindon, Bath and North East Somerset and Wiltshire, and we've got a new service that's just opened up in Bristol. So a little bit about the background. Individual placement and support. We are very much client focused. Our referrals come from the NHS, from the mental health teams based in Swindon. And the background behind it is people who are unemployed for 6 months or longer are more likely to develop a mental health illness. And people who experience severe and enduring mental health difficulties have one of the lowest employment rates in the UK. So the IPS service is focused on changing that. The majority of people with mental health problems consistently say that they want to work. Yet the employment rate for people with severe and enduring mental health problems is the lowest in all the disability groups. People with mental health conditions often report numerous barriers to employment. Their biggest barrier we find is that there's concern over disclosure of mental health. And there's also a lack of confidence of finding work in a competitive job market. There's also fear around the lack of understanding and the resources for managers and colleagues and sometimes HR departments in being able to address these issues. And unfortunately, there still are quite discriminatory attitudes displayed by some employers when it comes to mental health. Many people with mental health conditions who have succeeded in employment say how important it is for their recovery, even when there are what might be considered limitations of a mental health condition, or if treatment isn't fully successful. So we always look to focus on what people can do rather than what they can't. So recovery, because this is about a journey of recovery, is about discovering or rediscovering a sense of personal identity and being able to separate from any illness. Recovery represents a movement away from pathology, illness and symptoms of health to strength and wellness. So the IPS service, the function really is to regain or develop a regular routine for our clients, for them to be able to learn something new, to learn new work skills. There's also the social aspect, so being meaningful and included in your community is often huge to people with mental health difficulties. Being able to meet people and make new friends and just contribute to the community in which they live. There's also the personal sense of empowerment, finding new meaning and a purpose, and perhaps a little bit of control over their life. It helps to increase independence and self-esteem and raise people's confidence, both personally and in their working lives. And also financially, it can really help people manage their money and also help them to develop their career aspirations. So in brief, the key principles of IPS are competitive employment is always our primary goal, although we do often use volunteering as a path back to paid employment. Anyone who wants to work is eligible. You would have a specialist employment advisor and they would work closely with the clinical teams to ensure that you're getting the full care that that the client needs. Job search is only consistent with the individual's preferences. That's where the IPS part comes in. It's about the individual and what it is that they want. Our job search aims to be rapid, so we would begin a job search within 1 month of getting the referral through. We can also help with just understanding welfare and benefits. We're not advisors, but we have tools that we can use just so people can get a really good picture of what their finances, what might look like and what benefits they may be entitled to. And the employment specialist develops relationships with employers across Swindon too. So part of the remit of an employment specialist who works directly with clients is to build relationships with employers. And the support that we give is time unlimited. So when a person is in work, when we've been through the initial process, we can then help support them retain that employment. So at that point, I'm going to hand over to Jenny, who's on the call as well. Jenny is one of our employment specialists based in Swindon, and she's just going to bring that to life a little bit in how that actually works when we get a referral through and how we begin to work with a client. So Jenny, are you happy to take over?
Yeah. So we receive the referrals directly from the community mental health team. And we contact the clients directly and arrange a face-to-face appointment. We are community-based, so we tend to meet people outside in Costa or wherever they want to meet. The first meeting consists of all the necessary boring paperwork and finding out a bit more about how the client themselves and how their skill set sits. We then go to start to try and bridge the gaps between our clients and the competitive job market. I like to tell my clients that we don't just have a bag of jobs we can hand out because we're an employment service. Some people think that that's the way it works, but they are competing for the same jobs that everybody else are. We then help with building CVs, and we talk about health disclosure statements and the possibility of disclosing their conditions to employers. And then we break down any barriers that the clients might have that are preventing them from actually going to work, such as anxiety around travel, anxiety around the benefits. We've been very fortunate to make great working relationships with the DWP and the Swindon Job Centre. Within the first 30 days of our meetings, we go out and meet employers face to face on the client's behalf. Once a suitable job is found for the clients, we then support with application forms, cover letters and disclosure statements if the client's decided to disclose. We also offer mock interview practice, any interview preparation that they feel they need. Once they are in work, we offer support for the employer and the employee to ensure that people retain the jobs and everybody is supported. As Kate said, that there's some lack of understanding from some management teams and HR teams, but we're available to support the employer with that information that they need. We also now offer a peer support to our clients. We have 2 peer support workers that are still currently clients on our caseload, and they offer them a first-hand approach of doing the programme and somebody to talk to that's been there and done that, because that sits really well with most of our clients. And yeah, that's about it really.
Thanks, Jen. Any questions?
That's great. Sorry, that was it. Thank you. Yeah. Any questions? And a really great presentation. And to me, it's actually fantastic just hearing you talk. So that worked really well. I'm sorry we didn't manage I understand you had slides, but we can actually send those slides out and have them with the presentation on the VX directory if you want, Kate.
Yeah, absolutely. All our details are on the directory. My contact details. I manage the team here in Swindon, so it's my contact details. But I can put those slides up too. That would be brilliant. Thanks, Joel.
Yeah, excellent. Cheers. So, any questions? Sounds like a great program for sure. Yeah, go ahead, Jerry.
So I heard that we talked a lot about mental health there, but are we also dealing with physical disabilities and seeking employment?
Not for this particular model, no. All of our referrals come via, not specifically physical disabilities. Our referrals come via the community mental health teams. So it's mental health focused. So that is the route that we're taking referrals at the minute.
I've got another one, sorry.
Yeah.
How do you deal with the barrier of transport? So I think that comes up straight away. I want to go, but I can't get to Costa. Don't know where it is. Haven't got any money.
Yeah. Do you mean coming to a meeting with us or
anyone,
starting? Yeah. Well, we're community based, so we can travel to clients. So that's if it, finances are a difficulty, we can always go to them. We've been doing lots of walking and talking of late because of COVID and the restrictions. It's been difficult to be in the same room with people, obviously. So walking and talking has been an option. So, we've even stood in people's gardens and had a quick chat over the garden gate, just so that we can keep in touch. When we're doing paperwork, and Jen, butt in at any time. But when we do paperwork, it is easier if we can be sat down somewhere. We also help people get bus passes and things. If you're on certain types of benefits, you can get bus passes. So that can often help because travel is then discounted or free. So yeah, we will do our best to accommodate what the client needs.
Nice.
We also support with graded exposure. So I have a client that was very scared of public transport. So over the course of 6 weeks, we very, very slowly got her on a bus and got her where she needed to be. And now she comes on a bus every week to us. So we support with that as well. If that's a barrier to employment, then that's what we help with.
That's fantastic. We could have one more question. Last question, if there's anyone out there. If not, then a huge thank to both of you from Richmond Fellowship. Thanks for coming on. Really appreciate your time.
No, thanks, Joel, and thanks everybody for listening.